Tom was 12 years old when he found the old wooden box in his grandfather's attic. It was a hot summer day and he was bored. His parents had sent him to stay with his grandfather for 2 months while they worked in another city. Tom did not want to be there. He missed his friends. He missed his video games. He missed everything about his normal life. His grandfather lived in a small village far away from the city. There were no shopping malls. There were no movie theaters. There were only green fields, old houses, and very old people who talked about things that happened many years ago. Tom thought it was the most boring place in the whole world on that particular day. His grandfather was sleeping in his chair after lunch. The old man always slept for 2 hours in the afternoon. Tom had nothing to do. He had already read all his books. He had already walked around the small garden 3 times. He had already counted all the birds he could see from the window. Then he remembered the attic. His grandfather had told him not to go there. He said it was dusty and full of old things that nobody needed anymore. But Tom was curious. He wanted to see what was up there. Maybe he would find something interesting. Maybe he would find an old toy or an old book with pictures. He walked very quietly up the narrow stairs. The wooden steps made small sounds under his feet. He stopped many times to listen. He did not want his grandfather to wake up and catch him. When he reached the top, he pushed open the small door. It made a long, slow sound that scared him a little. But he did not stop. The attic was dark and full of dust. Small pieces of dust floated in the air, like tiny stars. A small window let in some light, but not much. Tom could see many old things everywhere. There were old chairs with broken legs. There were old clothes in big boxes. There were old pictures in old frames. Everything looked very old and forgotten. Tom walked slowly through the attic. He touched some of the old things. He looked at some of the old pictures. Most of them showed people he did not know. Some showed his grandfather when he was young. Tom was surprised to see that his grandfather was once a handsome young man with dark hair and bright eyes. Then he saw the box. It was different from everything else in the attic. It was made of dark wood, and it had strange marks carved on its top. The marks looked like nothing Tom had ever seen before. They were not letters. They were not numbers. They were something else entirely. Something strange and mysterious. Tom picked up the box. It was heavier than he expected. He tried to open it, but it was locked. There was a small hole in the front where a key should go. But there was no key anywhere. Tom looked around the attic, hoping to find a key. He looked in other boxes. He looked under old clothes. He looked everywhere. But he could not find any key. He decided to take the box downstairs. He would ask his grandfather about it. Maybe the old man knew where the key was. Maybe he knew what was inside the box. Tom carried the box carefully down the stairs. He made sure not to drop it or make too much noise. When he reached the living room, his grandfather was still sleeping. Tom sat on the floor and looked at the box again. He ran his fingers over the strange marks. They felt warm under his touch. This surprised him. Everything else in the attic was cold and dusty. But this box was warm, as if something inside it was alive. Tom shook the box gently. He heard something move inside. It was not a loud sound. It was soft and gentle, like sand moving in a glass container. He wondered what could make such a sound. His mind created many different images. Maybe it was gold coins. Maybe it was old jewelry. Maybe it was something even more valuable. His grandfather woke up suddenly. The old man looked at Tom with wide eyes. Then he looked at the box in Tom's hands. His face changed. It became pale and serious. He stood up from his chair faster than Tom had ever seen him move. The old man walked to Tom and took the box from his hands. He held it close to his chest like it was the most precious thing in the world. His hands were shaking a little. Tom could see fear in his grandfather's eyes. But there was something else too. There was excitement. There was wonder. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Tom waited. He wanted his grandfather to explain. He wanted to know what was in the box. He wanted to know why his grandfather looked so afraid and so excited at the same time. Finally, the old man sat down. He put the box on the small table next to his chair. He looked at Tom with serious eyes. Then he began to speak in a low voice. He told Tom that the box had been in their family for many generations. It was passed from father to son for hundreds of years. Nobody knew where it came from originally. Some said it came from a faraway land. Some said it fell from the sky. Some said it was a gift from someone who was not human. Tom listened with wide eyes. He could not believe what he was hearing. His grandfather had never told him any of this before. He had never even mentioned the box. Tom wondered why the old man had kept such a big secret for so long. His grandfather continued. He said that the box could only be opened by someone special. Many people in their family had tried to open it, but nobody had ever succeeded. The box always remained closed, keeping its secret safe inside. Tom looked at the box. He felt something strange in his heart. He felt like the box was calling to him. He felt like he was the one who was supposed to open it. He did not know why he felt this way, but the feeling was very strong. That night, Tom could not sleep. He kept thinking about the box. He kept thinking a bootwood might be inside. He knew that his life was about to change. He could feel it in his bones. Something big was coming. And it all started with that old wooden box in the attic. The next morning, Tom woke up very early. The sun was just starting to rise. The birds were singing outside his window. But Tom was not thinking about the sun or the birds. He was thinking about the box. He got dressed quickly and went downstairs. His grandfather was already awake. The old man was sitting at the kitchen table, drinking tea. The box was in front of him. Tom noticed that his grandfather looked tired. He probably had not slept well either. Tom sat down at the table. He looked at his grandfather. He looked at the box. He wanted to ask many questions, but he did not know where to start. So he waited for his grandfather to speak first. The old man finished his tea. He put the cup down slowly. Then he pushed the box across the table toward Tom. Tom was surprised. He had expected his grandfather to keep the box away from him, but instead, the old man was giving it to him. His grandfather explained that he had been thinking all night. He said that maybe Tom was the one who could open the box. He had seen how the box seemed to respond to Tom's touch. He had noticed how the strange marks had glowed slightly when Tom held it. He had not told Tom about the glowing because he did not want to scare him. Tom looked at the box with new eyes. He had not seen any glowing yesterday, but maybe he had been too excited to notice. He reached out and touched the box again. This time, he paid close attention. And this time, he saw it. The marks were glowing with a soft blue light. It was very faint, but it was there. His grandfather nodded slowly. He said that this had never happened before. The box had never glowed for anyone else in the family. This meant something important. This meant that Tom was special. Tom did not feel special. He felt confused and a little scared. The old man stood up and walked to a small drawer in the corner of the room. He opened the drawer and took out an old envelope. It was yellow with age. He brought it back to the table and gave it to Tom. Inside the envelope was a letter. The letter was very old. The paper was thin and fragile. The writing was in a language Tom did not understand, but at the bottom of the letter there was a small drawing. It showed the box, and it showed something else. It showed a key, but it was not a normal key. It was made of light. His grandfather explained what the letter said. It was written by his great-great-grandfather many years ago. The letter talked about a secret. It said that the key to the box was not a physical thing. The key was inside the person who was meant to open it. The right person just had to believe strongly enough, and the key would appear. Tom thought this sounded crazy. How could a key appear from nothing? How could believing make something happen? It did not make sense. But then again, nothing about this box made sense. The glowing marks did not make sense. The warmth of the wood did not make sense. So maybe a magical key was not so strange after all. His grandfather encouraged Tom to try. He said that Tom should hold the box and close his eyes. He should think about opening the box. He should believe with all his heart that he could do it. Tom felt silly, but he agreed to try. He held the box in both hands. He closed his eyes. He tried to clear his mind of all other thoughts. He thought only about the box. He imagined it opening. He imagined light coming out of it. He imagined seeing what was inside. For a long time, nothing happened. Tom started to feel frustrated. Maybe this was all just a silly story. Maybe the box was just an old box with strange marks. Maybe there was nothing special about it at all. But then something changed. Tom felt warmth spreading through his hands. He felt energy flowing from his heart to his fingers. He felt something building inside him, something powerful and strange. He did not open his eyes. He kept believing. He kept imagining. Suddenly there was a bright flash of light. Tom opened his eyes. He saw that the marks on the box were glowing very brightly now. They were not blue anymore. They were golden, like sunlight. And from his own hands, a beam of light was coming out. It was going into the small hole in the front of the box. It was becoming the key. Tom watched in amazement. He could not believe what was happening. The light from his hands formed a perfect key shape. It fit exactly into the hole. He heard a soft click. The box was unlocked. His grandfather was standing very still. His eyes were wide with wonder. His mouth was open. He had waited his whole life for this moment. He had dreamed about it since he was a little boy. And now it was finally happening. Tom lifted the lid of the box slowly. His hands were shaking. His heart was beating very fast. He did not know what to expect. He was afraid and excited at the same time. Inside the box, there was a small crystal. It was round and smooth, about the size of a large marble. It was completely clear like water, but inside it there were tiny lights moving. They looked like little stars, dancing and swirling around each other. Tom reached in and picked up the crystal. The moment he touched it, he felt something amazing. He felt connected to everything around him. He could feel the earth beneath the house. He could feel the wind in the trees outside. He could feel the heartbeat of every living thing in the village. His grandfather gasped. He asked Tom what he was feeling. Tom tried to explain, but words were not enough. The feeling was too big, too wonderful for words. He just held the crystal and let the feeling wash over him. Then something else happened. Images started appearing in Tom's mind. He saw places he had never been to. He saw people he had never met. He saw things that seemed impossible. Flying ships in the sky, cities under the water, mountains made of crystal, forests where the trees could talk. Tom realized that the crystal was showing him another world, or maybe many other worlds. He did not understand how or why, but he knew that his life would never be the same again. The bored boy who came to stay with his grandfather had become something else. He had become the keeper of a great secret. And this was only the beginning of his adventure. 3 days passed since Tom opened the box. During these days, he learned many things about the crystal. He discovered that he could see visions whenever he held it. He discovered that the visions showed him different places and different times. Some visions were from the past. Some were from the future. Some were from worlds that existed far away. His grandfather watched Tom with pride and worry. He was proud because Tom had done something nobody else in the family could do. He was worried because he knew that great power came with great danger. He warned Tom to be careful. He told him that there might be others who wanted the crystal. Bad people who would do anything to get it. Tom did not understand at first. He asked who would want a small crystal. His grandfather explained that the crystal was very valuable. It was not valuable because of money. It was valuable because of what it could do. With the crystal, a person could see things that others could not see. A person could know things that others could not know. This was a very powerful ability. One evening, Tom was sitting in the garden holding the crystal. The sun was setting, and the sky was painted with orange and pink colors. Tom was looking at the crystal, watching the tiny lights dance inside it. He felt peaceful and happy. Then he heard a sound. It was a strange sound, like leaves rustling, but also like whispers. Tom looked around. He saw nothing unusual. The garden was empty except for him. But the sound continued. It was coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Tom held the crystal tighter. As he did, the sound became clearer. It was not just noise. It was a voice. Someone was trying to talk to him through the crystal. Tom concentrated hard. He tried to understand what the voice was saying. Slowly, the words became clear. The voice said that Tom had been chosen. It said that he had a great responsibility now. It said that the crystal was a gift from the Ancient Ones. They had made it long ago, in a time when magic was everywhere. They had hidden it in this world to keep it safe. And now, it had found its rightful owner. Tom was shocked. He asked who the Ancient Ones were. The voice explained that they were beings from another place. They were not human, but they were not gods either. They were something in between. They had created many wonderful things. The crystal was one of their greatest creations. The voice continued. It said that the crystal could do many things. It could show visions. It could heal wounds. It could even open doors to other worlds. But these powers came with responsibility. Tom had to use the crystal wisely. He had to protect it from those who would use it for evil. Tom asked how he would know what to do. He was just a 12-year-old boy. He did not know anything about magic or Ancient Ones or other worlds. He felt scared and small. The voice was kind. It told Tom not to worry. It said that the crystal would guide him. It would show him what to do when the time came. For now, he just needed to learn. He needed to practice using the crystal. He needed to understand its power. From that day on, Tom spent many hours with the crystal. Every morning, he would sit quietly and hold it. He would close his eyes and let the visions come. He saw amazing things. He saw dragons flying over green mountains. He saw mermaids swimming in deep blue oceans. He saw wizards casting spells in tall towers. He also saw darker things. He saw wars and destruction. He saw people suffering and crying. He saw evil creatures hunting in the shadows. The crystal showed him everything, the good and the bad. Tom learned that every world had both light and darkness. His grandfather helped him understand what he saw. The old man knew many stories that had been passed down in their family. He told Tom about the Ancient Ones. He told him about the other worlds. He told him about the great battle between good and evil that happened long ago. Tom learned that the crystal was created to help keep the balance between light and darkness. When evil became too strong, the crystal would choose a guardian. The guardian would use the crystal to fight against the darkness. Many guardians had come before. Some had won. Some had lost. But the battle was never truly over. Tom asked if he was supposed to be a guardian. His grandfather said yes. The crystal had chosen him. This was not an accident. Tom had something inside him, something special that the crystal could see. He was born for this purpose. At first, Tom did not want this responsibility. He wanted to be a normal boy. He wanted to play video games and hang out with friends. He did not want to fight evil or protect the balance between light and darkness. It was too much for someone his age. But as the days passed, something changed inside Tom. He started to feel different. He started to feel stronger and braver. The crystal was changing him, preparing him for what was coming. He could feel himself growing, not just in body but in spirit. One night, Tom had a very important vision. He saw a dark figure standing in the shadows. The figure had red eyes that glowed like fire. It was looking directly at Tom, as if it could see him through the vision. And it smiled a cold and cruel smile that made Tom's blood freeze. Tom understood then that the danger was real. Something evil knew about him now. Something evil was coming for the crystal. The peaceful days in his grandfather's house were ending. The real adventure was about to begin. And Tom would have to be ready, whether he felt ready or not. It was a quiet Tuesday morning when the stranger arrived in the village. Tom was helping his grandfather in the small vegetable garden when he first noticed the man. The stranger was tall and thin, wearing a long black coat, even though the weather was warm. He walked slowly down the main road, looking at each house carefully, as if searching for something specific. Tom felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He did not know why, but something about this stranger made him very nervous. He told his grandfather about the man. The old man looked up and watched the stranger for a moment. His face became serious. He told Tom to go inside the house and stay there. Tom wanted to argue, but something in his grandfather's voice told him this was not the time. He went inside and watched through the window. The stranger had stopped in front of their house. He was standing very still, looking directly at the window where Tom was hiding. The stranger smiled. It was the same cold smile Tom had seen in his vision. Those red eyes, now hidden behind dark glasses, were fixed on him. Tom stepped back from the window. His heart was beating so hard he could hear it in his ears. His grandfather came inside quickly. He locked the door behind him. He went to the old wooden cabinet in the corner and took out something wrapped in cloth. When he unwrapped it, Tom saw a pendant made of silver. It had the same strange marks that were on the box. The old man put the pendant around Tom's neck. He said it was for protection. It had been made by the ancient ones, just like the crystal. Together, they would keep Tom safe from dark magic. But Tom would still need to be careful. Very careful. There was a knock at the door. It was a soft knock, polite and gentle. But somehow, it sounded wrong. It sounded dangerous. Tom's grandfather told him to hide upstairs with the crystal. He said he would talk to the stranger. Tom did not want to leave his grandfather alone. But the old man insisted. He said Tom needed to protect the crystal above all else. If anything happened, Tom should use the crystal to escape. The crystal could open doors to other worlds. Tom should go through and never look back. Tom ran upstairs with tears in his eyes. He hid in the small room at the end of the hallway. He held the crystal close to his chest. He could hear voices downstairs. His grandfather was talking to the stranger. They spoke in low voices, but Tom could still hear some words. The stranger was asking about the crystal. He called it by a different name. He called it the Heart of Light. He said he had been searching for it for many years. He said he knew it was here, in this house. He could feel its power. Tom's grandfather said he did not know what the stranger was talking about. He said there was no crystal in the house. He said the stranger should leave before he called the police. The stranger laughed. It was an ugly laugh, full of mockery and cruelty. He said the police could not help. He said nobody could help. He said he was not going to leave without the crystal. Then Tom heard a crash. Something had fallen or broken. He heard his grandfather cry out in pain. Tom wanted to run downstairs and help, but he remembered what his grandfather had said. Protect the crystal. That was the most important thing. Tom looked at the crystal in his hands. The tiny lights inside were moving faster now. They seemed agitated, scared. Tom concentrated hard. He thought about what his grandfather had said. The crystal could open doors to other worlds. Maybe he could use it now. He closed his eyes and focused all his thoughts on escape. He imagined a door appearing in front of him. He imagined stepping through to a safe place. He believed with all his heart that it would work. The crystal began to glow brightly. A circle of light appeared in the air in front of Tom. Through the circle, he could see another place. It looked like a forest with silver trees and purple flowers. The air seemed to sparkle with magic, but Tom did not step through. He could not leave his grandfather behind. He loved the old man too much. He had to try to help him, even if it was dangerous. Tom made a decision. He held the crystal tight and ran downstairs. When he reached the living room, he saw a terrible scene. His grandfather was lying on the floor. The stranger was standing over him, one hand raised and glowing with dark energy. Tom shouted at the stranger to stop. The man turned and looked at Tom. His dark glasses had fallen off. His eyes were completely red, like burning coals. He smiled that cold smile again. The stranger said he had been waiting for Tom. He said Tom was a fool to come down. Now he would take both Tom and the crystal. He raised his hand toward Tom, but Tom was ready. He held up the crystal and concentrated on protecting himself. A shield of light appeared around him. The stranger's dark energy hit the shield and bounced away. The stranger looked surprised. He had not expected Tom to be so strong. Tom felt power flowing through him from the crystal. It was warm and bright, like sunlight. It pushed away his fear and filled him with courage. He was not just a scared little boy anymore. He was the guardian of the Heart of Light. The battle between Tom and the stranger had begun. Light clashed against darkness in the small living room of the old house. Windows shattered. Furniture flew through the air. The whole house shook with the force of their power. Tom did not know how long he could hold on. The stranger was very powerful. His dark energy kept pushing against Tom's shield. But Tom would not give up. He would fight until the end. For his grandfather, for the crystal, for all the worlds that depended on him. The battle continued for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Tom's arms were getting tired. His head was hurting from all the concentration. The shield of light around him was getting weaker. He did not know how much longer he could hold on. The stranger could see Tom getting weaker. He laughed again. That terrible cold laugh. He said Tom had been brave but foolish. He said no child could defeat him. He had been practicing dark magic for hundreds of years. Tom was nothing compared to his power. Tom felt despair creeping into his heart. Maybe the stranger was right. Maybe he was too young and too weak. Maybe he should have just escaped when he had the chance. Now it was too late, but then something happened. Tom heard a voice in his mind. It was the same voice he had heard through the crystal before. The voice of the Ancient Ones. It told Tom not to give up. It told him that true strength did not come from power alone. True strength came from love and hope and the desire to protect others. Tom thought about his grandfather lying on the floor. He thought about his parents far away. He thought about all the innocent people in all the worlds who would suffer if darkness won. His heart filled with love for all of them. And with that love came new strength. The crystal in his hands began to glow brighter than ever before. The tiny lights inside were spinning so fast, they became one brilliant star. Tom felt energy pouring into him like a river of light. He was no longer tired. He was no longer scared. He pushed back against the stranger's dark energy. His shield expanded, growing larger and stronger. The stranger's eyes widened with shock. He had not expected this. He tried to increase his own power, but it was not enough. Tom took a step forward, then another step. The light was pushing the darkness back. The stranger was retreating now, his face twisted with fear and anger. He screamed that this was impossible. He screamed that a child could not defeat him. But Tom kept walking forward. The light kept growing. Soon, the whole room was filled with brilliant golden light. The darkness had nowhere to hide. The stranger fell to his knees. His red eyes were flickering, losing their fire. Tom stood over the stranger. He could feel the crystal asking him a question. It wanted to know what to do with this enemy. Tom had the power to destroy him completely. One thought, and the stranger would be gone forever. But Tom did not want to destroy anyone, not even someone as evil as this stranger. That was not who he was. That was not what the light was for. He told the crystal to send the stranger away. Send him somewhere he could not hurt anyone. Send him somewhere he could think about what he had done. The crystal obeyed. A circle of light appeared under the stranger. Before he could react, he fell through it and disappeared. The circle closed behind him. He was gone, sent to a prison in another world where he would stay until he changed his ways. Tom ran to his grandfather. The old man was hurt but alive. He opened his eyes and looked at Tom with tears and pride. He whispered that Tom had done it. Tom had saved them. Tom had proven that he was truly the guardian. In the weeks that followed, many things changed. Tom's grandfather healed slowly but completely. The house was repaired with help from the villagers. Nobody asked questions about what had happened. Somehow, they understood that it was something beyond their knowledge. Tom continued to practice with the crystal every day. He learned to control its powers better. He learned to see clearer visions and understand their meanings. He learned that being a guardian was not just about fighting enemies. It was about helping others and keeping hope alive in dark times. His parents came to visit at the end of summer. They noticed that Tom had changed. He seemed older and wiser than before. He smiled more. He complained less. They thought that the time with his grandfather had been good for him. They had no idea how much had really happened. On his last day at his grandfather's house, Tom sat in the garden with the crystal. The sun was setting again, painting the sky with beautiful colors. Tom thought about everything that had happened since that first day in the attic. He thought about how much his life had changed. The voice of the Ancient Ones spoke to him one more time. It thanked him for his courage. It told him that his journey was just beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more enemies to face, more worlds to protect. But Tom was ready now. He had proven himself. Tom looked at the crystal in his hands. The tiny lights danced happily inside. He smiled and put it in his pocket, close to his heart. He walked back to the house where his parents were waiting. He knew he would return to his normal life tomorrow. He would go back to school. He would see his friends again. He would play video games and do homework and all the regular things that 12-year-old boys did. But he would never be just a regular boy again. He was Tom, the guardian of the heart of light. He was the protector of the balance between light and darkness. And whenever the world needed him, he would be ready to answer the call. His grandfather stood at the door, watching him with a gentle smile. Their eyes met, and they shared a moment of understanding. No words were needed. They both knew that this was not goodbye. It was just the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Tom hugged his grandfather tightly. He whispered a promise to come back soon. He whispered that he would make the old man proud. His grandfather whispered back that he already had, and so Tom left the village, carrying with him a powerful crystal, an ancient secret, and a new purpose in life. The summer that started with boredom had ended with magic. And somewhere in the universe, the Ancient Ones watched over their young guardian, knowing they had chosen well.